Alright, we're going to look at some applications here. It says applications of sequences at the top of your note. I think that we've put sequences and series together in some of these examples. I think one of the examples is twice, so I apologize for that, but here we go. So if we have Walter has a new job and he pays $42,000 in the first year, he's going to receive $1,950 increase in pay every year after that. Find the formula for TN and find what his income will be in the 7th year. Alright, so when we're looking at this, I'll try to keep the question on the page here. First thing I want to do is find out my A and my D value. They're going to help me find my TN. So my A is my starting value, that's what I say I get in the first year, so that's how much pay I get at the start. And my D is I'm getting an increase of $1,950 every year. I'm going to plug that into my arithmetic term formula. I'm going to find the general term. I've done it in a whole bunch of steps here, so we used A plus N minus 1D, subbed in A and D, rearranged, and got my answer. So we've got 40,050 plus 1950N, and that will give us our values. The first year, we're going to have 42,000 in the second year, and so on. So we're trying to find out what it is in the 7th year. We're going to sub in 7 for N and just solve. So therefore, he's going to make that much money in the 7th year. Okay. Pretty straightforward, I think. Not a whole lot to that question. Looking at the next question. At the end of the 3rd week, a new fitness club has 114 new members join. At the end of the 9th week, there's 306 members. If the increase in members is arithmetic, meaning that it's going up by a constant rate, what is the number of new gym members at the end of the 14th week? Okay, so the first thing, we know the 3rd week, so that's going to be T3, and we know the 9th week, which is T9. Okay, so we've got T3 is 114, T9 is 306. We're going to be able to find our A value, our D value by doing 9 minus 3. That's how many differences we have. We're going to have 6 differences equals 306 minus 114. So we get 6D equals 192. And D is 32. So now we can try to sub in to this formula. We could use either T is 3 or T3 or T9. I think it's easier to always use a smaller number, but you can use whatever you want. I'm using T3, so we've got T3 was 114. We don't know our A value, plus we're using T3, so N is 3, so 3 minus 1 times 32. We're going to get A equals 50. Now it's asking us how much we have at the 14th week. So T14, and we're subbing in and solving. So the 14th week, that many people join. One thing you want to be careful about is what is the number of new gym members at the end of the 14th week. So I found actually here the wrong value. Okay, now what I needed to find was S14. Now S14 again is Sn equals n divided by 2 times 2a plus n minus 1 d. Close our brackets. So we're going to do S14 equals 14 divided by 2 is 7. Our A value was 50, I believe, and our D value is 32. So 2 times 50 is 100, plus we've got 14 minus 1, which is 13, times 32. And we get S14 equals, and 32 times 13 is going to be 416 plus 100 is 516 times 7. So in total, after the 14th week, we would have had 3,612 new members. Therefore, short form, 3,612 new members. Okay, so you have to be really careful with the wording of the questions. Okay, here it said, what is the number of new members at the end of the 14th week? If it said the number of new members in the 14th week, then that would be TN, like I originally solved for. But because it's at the end, it's including every new member we've had. So then that's what we're going to be looking at. Next example, we've got a catering company has 15 customers during its first month. Afterward, the number doubles. So now we're looking at, if we're doubling, that's got to be a multiplication. That's times 2. So I know my R value is going to be there, not a D value. So this is geometric. So when we're looking at that, our T1 is going to actually be our A value. Remember, A is always your first term. So 15 customers during the first month. Afterward, we double every month. Okay, so our R value is going to be equal to 2. We're going to go through and find our general term. Our general term here is actually very easy. Now remember, I said you can change this if you really want to. It's going to be 15 times 2 to the n divided by 2 in this case. Okay, because 2 to the n divided by 2 to the 1 would be 2 to the n minus 1. So you'd have 15 over 2 times 2 to the n. But I don't mind if you just leave it in this form. Okay, how many orders will we fill in the 11th month? And this is what I said, you got to be careful with the wording. We're in the 11th month this time, so we're using TN, T15. Okay? If we were in total, not just the 11th month, but how many orders in total, that's SN. But because it says just in the 15th month, we're just subbing in here. Oh, I think it actually said, sorry, the 11th month. I just wrote 15 because I wasn't paying any attention. But in the actual answer here, I used 11 minus 1, which is 10. 2 to the 10 times 15 gives us that as our answer. Finally, now remember we did one like this in class. This is the classic store display when you got a triangle store display. This one's just worded a little different. We've got 6 scans on top, 37 on bottom. Now I'm going to say A is 6 because I like to add. So A is 6, that means D is going to be 1. And the number of rows is going to be 37 minus 5 because 6 is the last row, so I have to include it. Okay? That's what I've got here. So I would take away 5 because I'm not including any of those rows. So we have 32 rows. And then I just sub in all of this. We know A, we know D, we know N. So into this formula, we've got S32. So 32 divided by 2 is 16. 2 times 6 is 12. N was 32, so 32 minus 1 is 31 times 1, because we're going up by 1, so it's 31. And we get 66, so 12 plus 31 is going to give us 43 times 16 is 688, excuse me, so not 66. Therefore, there are 688 cans in this display. And there's all of your homework. Now, some of these questions are a little bit more difficult than others. My one suggestion is to make sure all of your units are the same. If things are changing by different units than what you have in the question, you're not going to get the questions right. You need to account for units. All right.